Good morning, church. Our first epistle reading is from 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 17 and 18 from the New Revised Standard Version. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And all of us, with unveiled faces, seeing the glory of the Lord as though reflected in a mirror, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, the Spirit. The second epistle reading is from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. It's the Message Bible. Since God has so generously let us in on what God is doing, we've not about to throw up our hands and walk off the job just because we run into occasional hard times. We refuse to wear masks and play games. We do maneuver and manipulate behind the scenes. And we don't twist God's word to suit ourselves. Rather, we keep on display so that those who want to can see and judge for themselves in the presence of God. Our gospel reading is from Luke 9, verses 28 through 43a, the Message Bible. Now, in about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus climbed the mountain to pray, taking Peter, John, and James along. While Jesus was in prayer, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became blinding bright. At once, 2 figures were there talking with him. They turned out to be Moses and Elijah, and what a glorious appearance they made. They talked over his exodus, the one Jesus was about to complete in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, Peter and those with him were slumped over in sleep. When they came to, rubbing their eyes, they saw Jesus in his glory and the 2 figures standing with him. When Moses and Elijah had left, Peter said to Jesus, "Teacher, this is a great moment. Let's build 3 monuments, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Peter blurted this out without thinking. While Peter, while Peter was babbling on like this, a light, radiant cloud enveloped them. As they found themselves buried in the cloud, they became deeply aware of God. Then there was a voice in the cloud. "This is my beloved, the chosen. Listen to him." When the sound of the voice died away, they saw Jesus there alone. They were silent, and they kept silence. They said not one thing to anyone during those days of what they had seen. When they came down off the mountain the next day, a big crowd was there to meet them. One called from out of the crowd, "Please, please, teacher, take a look at my son. He's my only child. Often a spirit seizes him. Suddenly he's screaming, thrown into convulsions, his mouth foaming. It mauls him and will scarcely leave him. I beg your disciples to deliver him, but they couldn't. Jesus said, "What a generation! No sense of God, no focus to your lives. How many times do I have to go over these things? How much longer do I have to put up with this? Bring your son here." Even while the boy was coming, the demons slammed him to the ground and threw him into convulsions. Jesus stepped in, ordered the vile spirit gone, healed the boy, and handed him back to his father. They all shook their heads in wonder, astonished at God's greatness, God's majestic greatness. This ends the gospel reading. Thanks be to God.